Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today, a few packages. Nothing again that I want to call a book haul, even though it's me hauling books. No, I don't need to resort to including the mail that arrives here every day in order to win the haul wars that are convulsing our little corner of BookTube, which has become a vast vista of scorched ground and burnt out trees and huts. The haul wars are continuing, but I can save secondhand book buying for them, and we can just go through these packages that came this morning. A little bit self-conscious about doing this because in his latest video, the video that went up today, Jack Edwards mentions that he hesitates when it comes to getting advanced copies of books in the mail because he doesn't want to enthuse about something and have you not be able to go out and get it, which of course made me a little self-conscious because I do that all the time and have been doing that for 8 years. But I'm assuming that if I show you a book that's months and months from publication and it's of interest to you, I'm assuming that's still worthwhile to you, that you can make a note of it. You can get the slow process of getting your library to reserve a copy and then order copies. You can get that in motion, whatnot, or save up for it, since books aren't cheap. I'm assuming that anyway. I'm trying to comfort myself now that I've been made self-conscious by the demon Smurf. Let's see what this first one is. See if there's anything squeal-worthy in this whole thing. So what do we got here? Oh, okay. First one is from Tor. Fantastic. So this is out already. Tor is a little bit dilatory in getting me things. This came out a week ago. So this is the finished copy of The Tomb of Dragons by Catherine Addison, the author of Goblin Emperor. No idea what's going on there with the cover. Best not to think about it. Okay. This has some blurbs. It got a starred review from Library Journal, which says readers who are enthralled by the new cozy fantasy trend or love a cozy mystery will be delighted with Kelleher and his latest investigation. Like I said, we're going to find out that is a character in this book, I would guess. But the author T. Kingfisher, who wrote a book called What Moves the Dead, is also blurbed and says, as close to perfect as books can get. Magnificent. I know absolutely nothing about this book. And I know that it is not even within Hubble telescope sighting distance of perfection. And this is that immediately brings to mind this whole brouhaha that's been going on for a while in the book chat world about blurbs, about book blurbs, and how worthless they are, and how some publishers are scaling back on them, and how one author famously said she's not going to do any more, or barely any. And this is a good example of why. As close to perfect as books can get. So, well, I know it's fish in a barrel. But if that's true about this book, then what are you going to blurb on Anna Karenina? What are you going to do? Are you just going to commit harikari? Is that all you're going to do? So you said that this book was as close to perfect as books can get. So let's say someone tricks you into reading an English language translation of Anna Karenina. Then what do? I'm assuming that you jump off the Burj Khalifa because you're ripped inside out by admiration of a book. It's gone so much beyond. I don't know. Let's see what this is. Thara Selahar has lost his ability to speak with the dead. When that title of witness for the dead is gone, what defines him? While his title may be gone, his duties are not. Selahar contends with a municipal cemetery with 50 years of secrets, the damage of a Revathavar's he's terrified to remember, and a group of miners who are more than willing to trade Selahar's life for a chance at what they feel they're owed. I don't understand. This is a modern fantasy novel with dragon in the title by a woman. The main character cannot be a man. What is going on here? Thara, Thara. I don't know what that means. Was Thara Selahar born a woman? Well, anyway, let's move on. Selahar does not have to face these impossible tasks alone. Joining him are his mentee Velhiro Tomasaran, still finding her footing with the investigative nature of their job, Iana Pelthenhior, his beloved opera director friend and avid supporter, Honora Chanavar, his stalwart friend and fellow prelate of Euless, and the valiant guard captain Hanu Olgares. Amidst the backdrop of a murder and a brewing political uprising, Selahar must seek justice for those who cannot find it themselves under a tense political system. The repercussions of his quest are never as simple as they seem, and his own life and happiness hang in the balance. Okay, so is this... the author lives near Madison, Wisconsin. I once lived near Madison, Wisconsin. Is this... One thing that this pub sheet doesn't make clear, probably a lot of you are going to know this right away. A lot of you probably know this author. I think I read Goblin Emperor. Goblin Empire. Goblin Emperor? Was there only one book? Okay. Catherine Addison returns to the award-winning world of the Goblin Emperor, deftly wrapping up the Cemeteries of Amalo trilogy. So it isn't mentioned on the title, on the cover here, but this is... Okay. Yeah, there we go. It's on the back. The Cemeteries of Amalo trilogy is The Witness for the Dead, The Grief of Stones, and The Tomb of Dragons. So this is the third book in that series. And then there's also, within the Chronicles of Osreth, The Goblin Emperor. So this is a shared fantasy set here. So the Goblin Emperor takes place in the same world as the Amalo trilogy. Okay, well, or one thing is cleared up for me here anyway, which is that description really made it sound like I needed to read more than just this book, and I think this confirms it. However, I do not have any of the other books, so I'm going to see whether or not this book can do anything for me on its own, as a third book in a series should. I'm going to see if it can, and well, we'll see. I always make that point on this channel. I always say, if I encounter the fourth or the third or the sixth book in the series, and I don't have any of the others and I've never read the series, well, the book shouldn't just be fan service. It should stand on its own as a book. And so we'll let the chips fall where they may when I read it. And over the years, when I have said that, this is going to make some of you wince, probably a lot of you wince. More than one person has gotten back to me in email and said, that's an unrealistic standard. If you held Lord of the Rings to that standard, the book would fail. And you're all wincing now. Yes, I had to point out to every person who emailed me like that the Lord of the Rings is one book. The Return of the King is not the third book in a trilogy. It's the Lord of the Rings is one book. The Return of the King, if it were a standalone novel, would not work, but it isn't. But anyway, let's see here. Let's see what this next one is. So we have a fantasy novel, but it's a little bit anticlimactic because I haven't read the others, unless the others are here in this mail. What is this next one? Ooh. Okay. All right. Well, I did not arrange this, of course. I don't know what's in these packages. There's a box at the end. I think I know what's in the box. So you should be prepared for hypersonic squealing if I'm right. I don't prepare these things ahead of time, and yet this next thing is a perfect example of a book that is not just third or fifth or seventh, but I think 17th in a series that can stand on its own. It's a murder mystery series that more people need to know about. This is Who Will Remember by C.S. Harris. This is a Sebastian Sincere mystery. These are historical murder mysteries. They're all very, very good. They have made my year-end list of best mysteries so many times. This comes out on the 15th of April. And this is the 20th book in the series. This is the 20th book in the Sebastian Sincere series. Let's see here. Harris is a master of suspenseful historical mysteries, meticulously paced. The Regency-era stories will greatly appeal to readers of Victoria Thompson and Andrea Penrose. In this latest tale, a macabre murder of a prominent nobleman throws an already unsettled London into chaos. Set against the backdrop of England's year without a summer, an actual geological event that caused climate catastrophe all over the world. A harvest-destroying volcanic winter coupled with economic disruption caused by the end of the Napoleonic Wars, a dead man is found hanging upside down by one leg in an abandoned chapel. his hands tied behind his back. Sebastian Sincere, Viscount Devlin, learns of the murder from a ragged orphan who leads him to the corpse and then disappears. The victim, Lord Preston Farnsworth, the younger brother of the Regent's boon companions, was a passionate crusader against what he called the force of darkness, namely criminality, immorality, and sloth. Though everyone in the dead man's orbit paints Lord Preston as a selfless saint, Sebastian quickly realizes the man had accumulated more than his fair share of enemies. As more bodies pile up, Sebastian will have to decipher the killer's gruesome message before more lives are lost and fraught post-war London explodes. Post-war London. But it's not post-war in terms of World War I or World War II. It's the Napoleonic Wars. These are so good. These are so good. I have been championing these things and calling them among the best murder mysteries published in any given year for a decade or more. I didn't realize it was 20 books. But some of the entries are a little bit weaker than others. I didn't get an advanced copy of this, so I don't know what this is like. But I love these books. So if you're looking for a historical murder mystery series and you feel like you've run through them all, well, this is by Berkeley, but I could swear that the Sebastian Sincere mysteries were not always by Berkeley. I might be wrong about that. I could swear that for a long chunk of time, these were a little bit hard to get and would not have been in your Ingram order at your retail bookstore. I could be wrong about that. Shall we read? It opens with a little verse from Lord Byron. Shall we? We've got a little bit of a map, but notice it's a period map, so it's not someone recreating a map of the time. Let's see how this starts. London, Monday, 19 August, 1816. The boy stood with his thin shoulders hunched against the cold, his hands shoved deep in the pockets of his ragged coat. Narrowing his eyes against the slanting rain, he studied the silent windows of a certain elegant townhouse on the far side of Brook Street, then shivered. It was only mid-afternoon, and yet already the sky was dark and gloomy, the wind icy enough to make it feel more like February or March than high summer, the year without a summer. But then there hadn't been anything like a summer that year. The crops in the fields were dying or dead. People were already going hungry, and Father said he didn't know what the poor would do when winter came. Lots of folks were scared, saying the weather wasn't even going to get better, that the end of the world must be upon them, and Jesus would be coming back soon to save the righteous and smite the wicked. At the thought, the boy shivered again, for he was sure enough knew which category he belonged to, he and Father both. Then a flicker of movement jerked his attention back across the street, and he watched as a wavering light appeared in the room that lay to one side of that shiny black front door, as if someone were there lighting a brace of candles. A tall, lean man with dark hair and a slight limp crossed in front of the room's windows. It was the nobleman the boy was here to see. Viscount Devlin, he was called. A trickle of rain ran down the boy's cheek to tickle his bare neck, and he swiped at his wet face with the back of one hand. He was afraid that what he was about to do was a mistake, but something needed to be done. Sucking in a deep breath of the foul, coal, smoke-scented air, the boy leapt the rushing gutter at his feet and crossed the street's wet granite paving. But at the base of the house steps he faltered. He had to force himself to march up the steps and grasp the door's shiny brass knocker. He brought it down so hard that he jumped back in surprise. The door was opened almost at once by a grim-looking majordomo with a military air and a forbidding frown that darkened as he took in the ragged, undersized lad shifting nervously from one bare foot to the other. The service entrance is, "Sure, then, but 'tis his lordship I'm here to see. Lord Devlin, I mean," said the boy, in a rush, before the man could shut the door on him. "About a body, it is, a dead man. His face is all purple, you see, and he's hanging upside down." "Ah," said the majordomo, some emotion Jamie couldn't quite decipher twitching the man's thin lips as he took a step back and opened the door wider. "Then in that case, I suppose you'd better come in." And if you know the series, you will know that majordomo, but you don't need to. You've been given a perfect précis of his character right there. All right, so this comes out in April. Yeah, in mid-April. So that's a ways away. That's a month away. I'm not sure that I can justify reading this tonight. We will see. maybe irresistible. Something from this pile is going on the pile tonight. Maybe many things. And it's not like I'm going to forget the events of the novel by the time it comes time for me to write about it. All right, what's this next one? Oh my. All right, what have we got here? Okay, this also comes out in April. This comes out on April 8th from the folks at Melville House. How interesting. Okay, this is You Can Kill Each Other After I Leave. Refugees, Fascism, and Bloodshed in Greece by Patrick Strickland. Who is Patrick Strickland? A journalist and author from Texas who has reported from some of the 15 countries across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, covering immigration, the rise of the far right, humanitarian catastrophes, armed conflict, and more. Geez, I hope he's being careful. Probably has a mother at home who's worrying about him. Okay, well, let's see. In 2012, Greece's far-right political party, the Golden Dawn, were building a significant street presence in Greece. Over the previous decade, they had grown from a tiny group of neo-fascist brawlers to a formidable vigilante force responsible for multiple murders, street fights, and shootings. On the eve of the 2012 election, one of their candidates said that the, quote, knives will come out after the election. And knives did come out. Golden Dawn became a significant parliamentary presence and used it as a platform to escalate their terror campaigns against migrants and leftists across the country. They also became an inspiration for far-right groups across Europe and the Americas. Journalist Patrick Strickland first arrived in Greece in 2015 to cover the European refugee crisis, just as Golden Dawn were ramping up their campaign of terror. With an eye for journalistic detail that recalls Orwell's reportage from Spain, Strickland traces the antecedents of Golden Dawn to the dark years of Nazi occupation and subsequent military dictatorship, and looks at the post-2008 economic crisis that emboldened the far right. He also introduces us to the resistance forces standing up to the right, taking us to the Greek islands where people rallied together to support hundreds of thousands of refugees traveling across the Aegean Sea. Strickland also takes us to the anarchist squats in Athens, where activists took over abandoned buildings and opened them up to refugees, a tactic they viewed as anti-fascist alternative to dooming migrants to life in squalid refugee camps. Any of you in Greece at the moment? This book is an exemplary work of narrative nonfiction and compelling journalism that provides an intimate portrait of the stories of migrants and activists resisting the growth of the far right, as well as vivid and shrewd analyses of evolving political landscape in Greece and Europe. Okay, well, this is even closer to publication date, and so I don't think that there's any way. I think this has to go on the pile for tonight. In fact, these two probably will counteract each other. Probably I will read both of these tonight. Boy, oh boy. Okay. Oh, man, Patrick Strickland, you are young. You are... Okay, I was going to get all patronizing and say that you're young enough to think you're invincible, but not the places you've been. You now know you're not invincible, but you could easily come to harm, young man. Good Lord. Shall we read the beginning of this? I got nowhere to be. Shall we read the beginning of this? Let's see how this starts out. May 23rd, 2017 marked the 156th day of the trial of Golden Dawn, the Greek neo-Nazi party that had, just 5 years earlier, made history when it entered the Hellenic Parliament for the first time. Even before its political successes, the party had shocked much of Greek society by terrorizing refugees and migrants and carrying out wanton violence against political opponents, most often leftists. Entering Parliament with 7% of the vote, they had not tampered the neo-Nazi party's tendency towards bloodshed. Threats compounded. The pogroms continued. Murders followed, brutal knifings in which victims were left to bleed out in the streets. Now, 69 Golden Dawn members were on trial. After Golden Dawn supporters stabbed and killed the Greek anti-fascist rapper Pavlos Fiasis in September 2013, the state accused the defendants of operating a criminal organization. That day, United Kingdom-based filmmaker Konstantinos Georgios, who had followed Golden Dawn members for his documentary The Cleaners, arrived at Korydallos prison near the capital where the trial was taking place. Georgios took the stand and spoke about what he had seen while documenting the party's campaigning some 5 years earlier. During the lead-up to the parliamentary elections in May of 2012, Georgios had trailed the party candidate Alekos Plomaritis as he campaigned in Athens. Golden Dawn surged in those elections and as a subsequent vote later in the year. When the young documentary filmmaker took the stand, none of the defendants were present, an absence that would come to define much of the 5-year trial. Plomarides made several horrifying statements to Georgosis throughout the filming. At one point during the filming, Georgosis followed Plomarides and others as they harassed non-Greek vendors in an open-air market. "Get out of here," he barked. "You're not Greek." Addressing the camera, Plomarides said of the migrants, "These parasites drink our water, eat our food, and breathe our Greek air, and they kill us. We are ready to open the ovens. We would turn them into soap, but we may get a rash. So we'll only use it to wash cars and pavements." Okay, this is not going to be easy to read. Okay. All right, you can kill each other after I leave. Frontline reporting on the political situation in Greece. I think I'm gonna read both of these tonight. One to season the other. And then we get to the box. That's after that grim little interlude, and I think I know what the box is. Just for time, I think I do. But let's take a look and see if I'm right. Oh, I am right. All right. Excellent. Fantastic. These are a gift. These next two books, these last two books in this, which we won't call a book haul, just a mail haul. These are a gift from James Holder. Great booktuber, James Holder. Saw these two things. Remembered that at one point I mentioned that I never see them in the wild anymore and that I would like them, and grabbed them. Probably saw them at some sort of library sale or whatever, and grabbed them, put them in a box, and sent them to me. And they are Robert Jordan, the author of the Wheel of Time series, writing Conan. These are the Conan Chronicles. The Conan Chronicles and the Further Chronicles of Conan. The original artwork that was given to these omnibus editions. Jordan, in addition to a movie treatment, leaving the movie treatment aside, Jordan wrote 6 Conan novels. And this is all 6 of them. These 2 hardcovers are all 6 of them. And I never see these out in the world. I never do, much less both of them at the same time. And James Holder managed to see them. And I have to say, I love this community. I know that sounds hokey, but I do. We send things to each other. We help each other. We are there for each other, listen to each other, lean on each other, bend each other's ears with our troubles. It's not just lip service. It's not just lip service. It's actually real. Where, I do this, and James Holder does this, and a bunch of you also do this, where you are looking at a bookstore, and suddenly you're not looking alone. Suddenly, you're looking at a bookstore, and you're thinking, oh, wait, so-and-so was mentioning this just the other day, or so-and-so was mentioning something close to this, and didn't know that this existed, and here it is. I should get it, and send it to so-and-so. It's amazing. It's just amazing. It's now taken for granted in this little corner of BookTube that we will just do that. Going to the post office, the expense of postage, forget about it. No, what we're giving each other more than greases the wheels for those kinds of incidental expenses. What we're getting from each other warrants that anyway. It's just sort of factored in that if I see something that I think another booktuber will want, I will get it and send it to them, and they will do likewise. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. I set up a strict fence on this channel against that kind of thing because I have rule number 1 on this channel, which is don't send me a book. Don't do it unless you ask me, unless you clear it with me, and James did. So, but even I get stuff in the mail. It's just wonderful. I know it sounds trite. I know that a whole bunch of people on YouTube and even some precincts of BookTube say these kinds of things, but don't really mean them. But here we do really mean it. Here we do really mean it. Do you need help? Do you need support, even if it's just psychological support? Do you want a book in the mail or more than one book in the mail? Fine. I love it. How many BookTube videos do you watch in the course of a given week where the booktuber, in our little corner BookTube anyway, will say, I got some books in the mail from so-and-so, another booktuber? How many times does that happen now? It's commonplace. Doesn't stop it from being special. I just reread a Robert Jordan Conan novel in a mass market paperback. But those little mass market paperbacks, they They are pretty pulpy. They are not designed to last. And these things will. And he is one of the well, I was going to say he's one of the Conan pastiche writers that you really want in a nice durable hardcover, but actually, I would love it if some publisher somewhere would do this for all the Conan pastiche novels. Most of the authors who wrote Conan pastiche novels wrote more than one. Most of them wrote more than three or four. A big omnibus volume of whoever, you name it, Leo Carpenter, Andrew Offutt, a whole omnibus volumes of all of those things would be great. Maybe with newly commissioned cover art. But this will do. This will do just fine. Because now I don't have to worry about the shape that my Robert Jordan Conan stuff is in. This is as new as the day it was made. So I can just... this has Conan the Invincible, Conan the Defender, and Conan the Unconquered. And this one has Conan the Magnificent, Conan the Triumphant, and Conan the Victorious? Yes. Fantastic. Okay. Well, this is wonderful. How wonderful. All right. So these are used books, but this still isn't a mail haul, or a book haul rather. It's just a mail. It's still not a book haul. Book hauls will come, but not quite yet. So there you go. That's our mail for today. I'm going to read, I think I'm going to read these two in tandem tonight. I'll read this one, and then to even the keel, I'll read this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if I also throw in a Conan pastiche novel. I've read all the Robert Jordan Conan pastiche novels quite a few times, and we have Sumerian September, but that's a whole long time away from now. I don't think I can wait that long, especially since when you get a gift like this in the mail, you really want to honor it with use. So maybe I will do that. But anyway, I'll wrap this up for now in either case, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.